Hey guys, and welcome to yet another English YouTube video, and the reason being actually the same as last time, which was and is now that I'm doing a collab, but this time my partner is Mr. Patina. Hopefully and probably you will know him from his great videos. He does a lot of great restoration videos. And this time he invited me to join his project, which is this axe. And as with the last video, Mr. Patina also did a huge amount of work beforehand. So obviously this is not the start of his restoration. And our part of the restoration will again be to sharpen that axe. And guys, don't worry, I'm actually very aware of the fact that sharpening an axe is not really something that takes forever and not really something that you might want to make a 10-minute video about. But this time I once more gonna take the chance for this video and explain a bit about the head shapes of axes. But you can be certain there will be other projects where I will do full restorations and not just sharpening in a collaboration. So maybe consider subscribing even though you don't really like this kind of explanation video. Alright, I guess that was enough of talking and now we're getting down to business. So for everyone who watched the last video, you might be able to tell that this axe is actually quite a bit bigger behind the bevel, and that might be caused by the fact that this axe was probably more for splitting wood and the other one was more of a multi-purpose axe. So what you can see here are the three basic axe head shapes. That means when you're looking at an axe from the top. And obviously the most left one would represent a felling axe, which means it's meant to cut wood and not split it. And its counterpart would be the splitting axe or even splitting hammer, which we have on the right. And you see the main difference is just the angle which the axe head has. We might even want to get a little scientific here. We can just calculate the angle of the axe head, and for that we just have to measure the length of this part, which would be about 4.7 centimeters. And after that we need the length of either side, which will be about 8 centimeters. So if you would do a sketch of our axe, it would look somewhat like this. We measured this area, which would be 8, and we measured this area, which would be 4.7. And since we need a triangle with a right angle, we're just gonna divide that into two parts, which we now have the right angle right here. We split our axe in half. We now have 2.35 here, and the length of that obviously stays the same, 8, and we can easily find the angle right here, which we are looking for by solving that equation. And as a result we would get 17.08 about. That's just rounded. And since we just calculated this angle right here, which is half of this, we just gotta duplicate that and we get 34 for our angle. So 34 would actually be a very acceptable angle for sharpening, but since for sharpening we would have to raise the angle even higher, and the base angle is already 35, that is actually a pretty high value for something that should cut in one way or another. So one might now argue that for a splitting hammer or a splitting axe, a sharp edge isn't really important, and certainly it really isn't that important in comparison to a felling axe or an all-around axe. But even for a splitting hammer, if you're trying to split a log, the main work of the splitting will be done by just the angle itself and the speed and acceleration and the weight we got on that axe head. But if we didn't really form an apex right at the tip, we would have to do a lot more work for just getting the first few millimeters in and thereby already slowing down a lot, which we of course don't want because we want our angle to split the wood and not waste energy already in the first few millimeters of our hit. And that's why not only our felling axe and our all-around axe should be very sharp, but also our splitting hammers or the axes with a bit larger heads should have a certain sharpness to them. Alright, and since I'm now finished with justifying why I'm doing what I'm doing today, let's get down to the job and get it done. I don't know if you're really able to tell, but even though we had such a high angle, we still were able to accomplish that burr. And right now we again changed for the finer belt to get a nicer finish. Okay, that's how it's looking. Okay guys, that's how it's looking, in my opinion. Again, a pretty good looking edge. And right now I'm gonna leave it up to Mr. Patina to show you that that really works and that even a splitting hammer should be somewhat sharp. As I said, there will be more interesting videos coming where we'll have a way brighter spectrum of tasks to do. But for today, my job is finished. And so right now, it's time for me to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe even learned something. And if that was the case, maybe leave a like if you like. And maybe even consider subscribing. But as always, in any case, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope we see us in the next one. Till then, bye!